A couple of days ago, the Corporate Affairs Commission, that is CAC, confirmed that it had in 2025 delisted or deregistered over 400,000 businesses within Nigeria. That is very serious, and if you're a business owner, you need to pay attention. This has serious impact and consequences if you're not careful. As a matter of fact, billions of naira can be lost on the basis of this news. So this is one video that you have to watch to the very end so that you get the full gist and avoid the real consequences that this brings to the table. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, drop a comment, and be a part of this family. Very importantly, share this video with as many persons as possible. So let's get right into the conversation. I need you to understand that this has been happening for a while. This didn't start in 2025. As a matter of fact, businesses had always been deregistered for a number of things. And I'm going to give you some details as relates to why businesses are usually deregistered. But first, like I mentioned, deregistering businesses did not start today. So it means that a whole lot more businesses are no longer active or have been deregistered. In 2014, CAC delisted about 49,000. In 2025, about 100,000 was initially deregistered. And then the list continues on and on and on like that. In 2024, there was also a conversation around deregistering 100,000 businesses. And the list goes on and on and on and on like that. So what could be the reason that leads to this? In summary, it is being inactive. Inactive, failure to file annual return, And then people make a mistake here. There is a difference between filing your annual returns and filing your tax. Completely different conversations. With CAC, when you register your business, it's important that you file your return. The same way when you register a business and your business is under the non-designated financial business and profession, it's important that after getting your SCUM-L certificate, you also file certain reports. So that is something that applies here. And failure to file this annual return with CAC renders your business first inactive for a while. As a matter of fact, many businesses are inactive in Nigeria. That is the first stage. Second stage, penalty is enforced. Failure to activate, pay penalties is what further gives birth to deregistration right here. Part of what makes this very common is because a lot of persons register what is referred to as briefcase companies. In other words, these briefcase companies are registered to just do one or two things and then you abandon them. And it's very, very common with real estate. In other words, someone can just register a company, get allocation from government, especially within the Federal Capital Territory. You get allocation from government, in other words, you get a land, and then that is the end. You never remember that company, you don't open an account, you don't operate the business, everything ends at just getting that allocation. Some person register as much as 50 businesses to pursue allocation. Some other persons contract. Now, the implication is that the moment this company that was granted allocation is deregistered, there are serious consequences. Number one, the company ceases to be a legal entity in the eye of the law. In other words, it's no longer a legal person because already by virtue of incorporating the company, and I'm talking about a limited liability company or LTD as the case may be, the moment a deregistration happens, this legal entity is taken away from the company. In other words, the company is technically dead. All right. Number two, the company cannot be sued or sue in that name. Number three, all business operations has to stop, must stop. Number four, bank accounts are affected. And from here, it becomes more and more sensitive and more serious. And I'm not going to be able to touch all of them because I can't explain all of the consequences in this video, especially as it relates to legal exposure, as it connects to shareholders of the business. All right. And then in addition, the further application or possible application of the principle of bona vacantia the moment it gets more and more serious. So the real deal or the real conversation right here is the fact that the moment a company is deregistered, right, it is considered dead until the processes of resurrecting the company are all fulfilled as provided by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, that is CAMA. Of course, that is the act that CAC operates under, all right? So at this particular point in time, the implication for real estate or real estate people is that you could have gotten an allocation for a property, all right, with the name ABC Limited. And now you have sold that same property to some people with name ABC Limited, all right? Or even want to buy from this particular company. As a matter of fact, recently I did due diligence for a company and this practically played out. Everything checked, documents were in order. I saw the ID card of the owner of the company. When I looked at the company, I had to engage corporate due diligence, and corporate due diligence revealed that the company had been deregistered. At that particular point in time, there's a grave disconnect, and the owner could not stand as an independent person to sell that property because by law, the company is separate, the individual is separate. In other words, this is dead and this cannot collaborate with this person to sell a property to anybody. So the consequences are serious. So the moment you want to buy a property from any company, as at today, ensure that the company is active, paying their annual returns, because the moment it moves from inactive to penalty and from penalty to deregistration, the consequences are serious. And chances are you may have original title documents in your office in the name of a company that has been deregistered, and the consequences are real. Your property may be genuine, but there no longer exists a legal entity that has the capacity, authority, or ability to transfer title, interest, and ownership. And the moment that no longer exists, everything traces itself back to the root of title. And the moment there's a question to the root of title, everything crashes. And you only can fix it if you know what you are doing and you are doing the right things part time.